Hi, I'm Lily Wright. I serve on the leadership team at Biddy Beau's Coffee, and I'm also the oldest daughter of its founders. I'm autistic, and growing up, I never saw people like me in roles that felt visible and valued. That's part of what makes this mission so personal to me. We started Biddy Beau's Coffee not because we love coffee, even though we really do, but because we love people. My parents, Amy and Ben Wright, opened the first coffee shop in 2016 in Wilmington, North Carolina, with a simple yet radical idea. What if a coffee shop could change the way people see people with intellectual and developmental disabilities? Today, Biddy Beau's Coffee is a national brand employing hundreds of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in front-facing roles, not out of charity, but out of belief. Belief in the power of meaningful work, belief in the dignity of every human being, belief in the idea that business can be a vehicle for justice. What began as a single shop in Wilmington, North Carolina, has become a model, a working demonstration of a different kind of economy, one where empathy is engineered and kindness is not a side effect, but a design principle. We are not a nonprofit, and we are not a feel-good story. We are a for-profit company engineered to provoke a shift, and we've seen it thousands of times over, in the faces of customers who expected coffee and left with so much more. Today, I'm here with my dad to tell you how we got here, what we've learned, and where we believe this is all headed. Let's begin. Introducing my father, the co-founder of Biddy Beau's Coffee, Ben Wright. Hi, Dad.
Hi, I'm a mess already.
I'm trying not to be.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, that was our family up there, in case you didn't know. So, Dad, why did you and Mom start Biddy Beau's Coffee?
Well, when your brother was born almost 21 years ago now, you immediately get thrust into the world of disability. And it's kind of a subculture. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we learned very quickly was that the world is really not built for people with disabilities. And when I say disabilities, I know that's a really rangy word, but yeah, we speak about it and think about it and talk about it more in intellectual and developmental disabilities, cognitive disabilities, things like that, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, autism spectrum disorder, many more than that. But it's a subculture, and the world's really not built for people like that. And then we learned the statistic that 80% of people with, I'll call it IDD instead of having to say intellectual and developmental disabilities all the time. That'll take up all my time saying that. But with IDD, 80% in the US, and then we found out it's global, cannot get a job in their own community. Let me just say that one more time. 80% of people with IDD can't get a job in their own community, right? So now the question is, how many people in the US? 5 to 6 million have IDD. Guess what it is globally?
Millions.
200 million people, it's estimated. So my quick calculation, that's about 160 million people who can't get a job. And you might say, well, they can't work, right? That's the conventional wisdom, I think, in the world, is that they can't work. And the fact of the matter is that's true for some people, also true for some people without disabilities can't seem to work either, right? But, they're taught lots of skills, they learn lots of things, they get trained to do things, ultimately for jobs that don't exist for them, right? It's like teaching somebody how to play a sport and then never letting them dress and step onto the field. So we just saw the handwriting on the wall, to answer your question, is we didn't want Biddy and Beau to grow up and become part of that statistic. We just weren't having it. So we started with sort of preaching, right, about it talking about it, and fundraisers and raising money and all these sorts of things. And we realized we needed to show it, not talk about it. We needed to put it in action. So that's why we started it.
So why not just operate Biddy and Beau's as a charity?
Great question. And by the way, I must say, she did not let me even read the questions before. We've been together for days now on this trip, and she's been hoarding her questions.
Well, my mother wrote them, and she said, don't let him see them. So I'm simply following her orders.
I'm in for it. So the question was something about charity. What was it?
Why not operate Biddy and Beau's as a charity?
Great question. We started as a charity back almost 10 years ago. And what we found was, I just sort of had this revelation that, that is how people with IDD are viewed in the world primarily, right? Through the lens of charity. And I thought, are we just piling on here? It's just more of the same, right? We didn't want people to say, that's a really nice coffee shop. Look what they're doing in there. Isn't that nice? But you can't make any money. It has to be run as a charity. So
yes, we can.
Yeah, right. So we said, to heck with that. We need to blow that myth out of the air, that if you employ people with disabilities, it's a drag on the bottom line, it's a mistake. Just stick to the virtue signaling and bolt somebody on and check that box. We said, to heck with that. So we sent all of our nonprofit money to another nonprofit, a great one that Tom Brady does a lot of good work for. And we converted to a for-profit entity. And it's been hard. It's been really hard, right? Because running a business, any business is hard, right? Now you make people with IDD the foundation of the business, right? And it's exponentially more challenging and difficult, but also equally rewarding.
What do you know now that you wish you had known when Beau was born with Down syndrome?
Oh, gosh. And I do, by the way, have this condition where sometimes I start talking about this and my eyes start to leak water. So forgive me if that happens up here. But, I wish I knew that you don't have to be afraid of, in this case, Down syndrome. So just to be crystal clear, Biddy and Beau, and those are their nicknames. Beau is Benjamin Jr., named after me, but we call him Beau. And Biddy is Jane, but she's itty bitty. So that's where that comes from. And as it turns out, Biddy and Beau sounds better than Jane and Ben's. So it worked out pretty good. But in any event, I wish I look back to when Beau was born, right? And we waited for 3 days to get the karyotype results telling us for sure whether or not he had Down syndrome, because we didn't find out ahead of time. And when we got the news, we wept, me and my wife, probably for about 3 days, and we were afraid. So I wish, and then your sister, 5 years later, Biddy, was born, and she too had Down syndrome, which is really rare from the same biological parents, I think. It's so rare, I don't think there are any statistics on that. But we wept again when she was born, but it was not tears of upset and fear. It was kind of tears of joy because we knew.
How wonderful they are. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So I wish I'd known that. That's I think it's normal and natural to be afraid of things you don't know, don't have any experience with, but anyway, go ahead.
What do you say to people who think this issue doesn't affect them because there's no one in their life with a disability?
Oh, that's such a great question. It was an aha moment we had a few years ago where, it occurred to me, we talk a lot about congenital disabilities, right? Ones that you're born with, and yet there are so many people who acquire their disabilities over the course of their lives, right? So I think what happens a lot of the time is people, they hear the word disability, and for most people, there's a moment where they feel something in their body. They tend to lean out. Some people lean in. It's kind of one of those words. And, I think that, I think what you'll find is that if you haven't faced disability in your life or in your inner circle, chances are high that you will, right? If you live long enough, age will introduce it to you. Maybe not in the form of the equivalent of Down syndrome or autism, but just disability in general, loss of sight, loss of hearing. You can be as sort of straightforward as that to very profound sorts of disabilities. But it's coming for most of us, and it's okay, and it might even come sooner, right? An accident or an unwelcome diagnosis of some sort, right? So I think what I realized is that everybody has skin in the game on this thing, right? But it's such an easy thing to look away from and to not think about because we don't want to think about it, right? I mean, I won't ask the question, but if I did ask the question, raise your hand if you want to have a disability, I'm pretty sure nobody would raise their hand, mine included, right? I don't want to have to wear glasses, but I do, right? So I get it, right? We all want to be big, we want to be fast, we want to be strong, we want to be all these things, and yet most of us are not all of that, at least throughout the course of our lives. And you have this whole group of people, who are born that way, and we don't want to see it, right? I think that's kind of at the root of it all, is that we don't want to see it, we don't want to feel it. We see our frailty, we see our vulnerability in people who are born or who have disabilities, and we think to ourselves, maybe subconsciously, that could be me. That could be my child, my whatever.
So what do you think this journey has taught you so far about work, worth, and what it means to be human?
Wow. I think that everybody is carrying around something that you can't see.
Yeah.
That's my answer on that.
Yeah.
And I, the thing that we found with these coffee shops, and we employ, almost 500 people with IDD across 12 states, 20 coffee shops, is that when you see them, right, you come in as a typically developing person and you see them and that power dynamic shifts and you're not looking at them charitably or pitiably, they're actually serving you, right? They're doing you the favor now. That changes everything. And when you see people, whether they have disabilities or not, they show up differently, right? And I don't mean with a new hairdo and a new shirt. I mean they show up, their presence changes. And that's different, right? Because most people with disabilities are not seen, really. Or if they are seen, it's how can we make them more like typically developing people instead of meeting them right where they are for who they are.
If you could leave the audience with one thing to remember about our time together, what would it be?
Our time right now, or?
Yeah.
Wow. I would ask everybody in this room to find an extra gear of courage when it comes to interfacing with people with IDD. And I don't say this at all in judgment of anyone, because I remember how I felt before your brother Beau was born.
Yeah.
Over
there. He's over there.
Yeah, he's over there. I remember how I felt. I didn't think well of people with disabilities. I didn't think poorly of them. I just didn't really think about them at all, right? Yeah. So I get it. I don't judge anybody, but I just say when you encounter that, lean into the proximity that you have to that person. And it may be weird. It may be uncomfortable. It may be hard thing to do. But I will tell you, if you let it, it will change you.
I was wondering, did you have any questions for me?
I have lots of questions for you. Lily, I think as a person we're coming up short here, but on the person on the autism spectrum, what do you wish people knew about you when they meet you?
oh my goodness, I have so little time. But that we are trying. We are trying to meet you where you are, and we would love for you to embrace us just as we are and to accommodate us the way we are ferociously accommodating you.
Well said. Thank you.